Hello, I'm Eli at Gemalto. In Sentinel EMS, if you go to Catalog, Product, and create a new product, one of the options that you have to define is the activation method. And I want to explain what does it mean, activation method, and what are the 5 optional settings that you can choose. First of all, we are talking about activation during the product creation. Of course, activation, we will meet them later on. Let me show you where we are going to meet them. We are going to meet the activation when we go to entitlement. Because in the entitlement, when you create a new entitlement and you add a product into it, let's add it for an example, what will happen is that here you have to define quantity. Quantity of what? Of activations. How many activations do you want to have for this product? For this entitlement, let's say. That's the right thing. So, because an entitlement says that somebody is entitled to get a license. But how many licenses I can create from this entitlement? I can create maybe 22, let's say. So it means that 22 different licenses can be created out of this entitlement for this product. So to sum up, the activation and the quantity, how many activation, is defined later on during the entitlement. However, still early, only when you start choosing the product that you want to create, then you are able to say not how many, no quantity, not the quantity of activation, how many activation, that's not dealt here. This will be in the entitlement. However, you can define here what do you want to do about the activation. So there are several options. Let me go to my slide in order to show you the details. First of all, this is the steps how to create the Sentinel RMS. And as you can see, the product is something that you need to define first, and then there is entitlement, which creates a product key and entitlement ID as well, and then you have the activation and finally the license. So we are talking about activation, and as you can see, even from starting from the product, you can define things that relate to the activation process which is being done here, or maybe during the entitlement. And what I wanted to show you is this. The activation methods can be one of these 5. You can define the activation method during the product settings as unlimited. This means that with the entitlement later on, there might be unlimited number of activations for this product. So there is no limitation. Anyone will be able to use this entitlement and the product inside it to make as many activations as the software vendor wants, and it will be able to use again and again this entitlement for any number of licenses to create. Second option is partial. This means that I want to limit the quantity, how many activations can someone use for this product within the entitlement. But the number, how many, will be defined later in the entitlement generation, as I showed you before. The option full says that after you define a quantity, that's okay. That quantity will be defined later on as usually during the entitlement. But once, if you set it as full, this means that all the quantity that later on will be defined is going to be consumed on one single activation. So if there are 20 activations, the quantity there, since it's full, all the 20 will be consumed at once. Just for one activation, 20 will go. And next option is fixed. Fixed, it means that you want to define how many activation will be consumed. How many? Sorry, on the contrary, how for each activation, how many from activation quantity will be used? If the default is 1, meaning that each activation will use 1 of the activation quantity. But you can set it to 2, let's say. This means that each activation will take 2 from the quantity that you are going to define later on in the entitlement. It might be a little bit unclear, but once you see this list, you can use it and see. The last one is SAOT, set at order time. This means that I'm not going to say which one of the 4 above will be set during the product, and I leave it for later on for anyone who create the entitlement to decide whether he wants the unlimited, partial, full, or fixed to be used. To sum up, these settings relates to the activation method and defines how the activation will be done later on in the entitlement, and it talks about the number of activations, let's say, and the way that this number of activation is going to be consumed when doing the activation. Thank you for watching.